We don't play. Yeah. We're back. We're back in the building. Yeah, so it's Saturday. We are here. It's January 18th. And we here. We doing it. All right. Thank everybody for joining us. Thank all the audience. And we got the crew up in here. We got Sandra.
Hey,
Sandra feeling like $1,000,000.
every day.
That's what's up. That's what's up. You gotta love that. Big Rob's in the building. Yeah. That's what it's about. So, here's the thing. All my listeners that are in New York already know the weather is crazy out there. And our guest actually is gonna be calling in. Instead, she's actually caught up Port Authority. So she's gonna be calling in. And it's all good. We're gonna make it work because, like I say, it's gonna be a very interesting show. And, we're gonna max out. We're gonna max it out. That's how we do. 100%. All the time, all day, every day. 100%. That's how we do, baby. All right. So, Sandra, talk to me. How you feeling?
Like $1,000,000.
Okay. That's what it is. I want to give a big shout out to Manny. You know what I'm saying? Hooked me up just now. Boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, Manny, I forgot something. He was like, yo, I got you. Don't worry about it. Boom, boom, boom. And he was doing donuts in the snow. So, he was enjoying it. That's all he been doing all day. So, big shout out, Manny. You know what I'm saying? Oh, matter of fact, check him out. Benzo on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? He posted a few videos. He's doing donuts out there in the snow. Loving it. Taking advantage of it. Enjoying the winter. That's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? When you get, what they say? When you get salt, make lemonade or something? Or lemon, you make lemonade?
When you have lemons, you make lemonade.
All right, well, something like that. You know what I'm saying? But that's basically what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? So he got some snow. He's doing donuts. He's enjoying it. You know what I'm saying? And actually, a little earlier, guy was flipping out on us saying, yo, they ain't too close to my car. So it's understood. Gave him his love, gave him respect, and say, okay, we'll move down the block. And he kept doing his thing. It was all good. You know what I'm saying? By any means necessary, we live in life enjoying it. That's what it's about. So today is real serious. Today is real important. We're going to be talking about our youths. This is the reason why we're here, and this show is really dedicated to the youths. So we have Miss Robbins that's actually going to be joining us in a few. She's going to call in, and, we are going to be talking with her. She's very dedicated, so we're going to be talking to her and getting a lot of insights from her. And first thing I want to say is that in our society, we believe in rehabilitation, to rehabilitate our youths, to rehabilitate our society. You know what I'm saying? We a strong believer in that. So I want to talk about another part of the world, still human being, but their philosophy is just a little different. Well, maybe a lot different. I feel it's important to kind of we dig down into that, and then we bring it back to where we at right now. You know what I'm saying? It's real important. So here's a real situation that happened in Singapore. This was maybe about 7 years ago. And this is their philosophy. That's just how this is how they live. This is how they feel. It's a little different than how we feel to rehabilitate our youths or to, um, well, they believe in public safety, which we believe in that too, right? So, so basically, what happened in Singapore? Here's the story. The story is that it was on a Halloween day, right? So on Halloween, what happened was they were five kids, all of them under 21. And these five kids, they had beef with another kid. And all kids, say anywhere from 15 to 18, anywhere from there. And is what they ended up doing was that it was Halloween and they chased this kid. One kid had a knife, right? And five kids chased one kid, caught up to him, stabbed him up. Boom, boom, boom. That was it. Stabbed him up. He went to the hospital. He passed away. That was it. He died. Now, after that one kid who passed away, the other five kids, they ran. One out of the five kids, what happened with him was that he fell and hit his head. So he had to go to the hospital, right? So he was in coma for a little while. And the other kids, not just one, it was one kid who stabbed up the kids, but they all were involved. So the government, they call it execute. I don't know. I guess we could say execute. I'd say the government murdered those four kids, right? Right away. So the government murdered them. Well, they call it execution. They executed the kids. But for me, my opinion, I say murder because I don't live over there. My society, this society, we say, okay, murder. They murdered them. All right, so they murdered the kid, right? And all four kids. Now, that was on the news, and, because this is their philosophy. They don't tolerate that. There's no locking them up to rehabilitate them or anything like that. There's no program. Certain crimes you do as a kid, they just kill you. They murder you, right? So what was interesting about this was the kid that actually was in coma, that kid actually ended up staying in coma for a few months. And the government told the kid that, hey, you know what? Well, not the kid, but told the public that when the kid wakes up, then we're going to murder him. And so they waited for the kid to wake up. And, as soon as the kid woke up, it was time for them to murder him. So that's what they did. They murdered him after he woke up. So it was quite interesting, because it's like that's their philosophy. If we got anybody checking in, let us know because I want a lot of feedback. Hey Jimmy, what's up? What's up, big dog? Jim Dog in the house. So I want some feedback on that because basically when you have a situation like that, that's their society. In Singapore, they just don't tolerate certain things. Certain things is just a no-no. So in our society, we a little different. I guess we'll give him 65 years, 50 years, 30 years, and, he's a grown man. By the time to come out, he might not even want to come out because all his life is in there, and he might be a benefit for the society at that point. You know what I'm saying? So I want to say that in a situation like that, what's your thoughts on that, Sandra? How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's a little disturbing, but it's not our culture, so we can't understand it. I think that most of us here, depending upon the situation, would feel a little disheartened by it. but it's not our culture. So we really don't have any ties to that type of punishment.
Right.
I mean, we have the death penalty, but I don't know of many times that we've executed a baby, because if they're under 18, they're babies to me.
Right.
So I'm not quite sure, what I would feel about that.
See, here's the thing. I want to point out a couple of statistics on that, though.
Well, Jimmy is saying that if that's their law, we can't call it murder.
Oh, but the only reason why I say murder is because we're not accustomed to it. I'm not accustomed to it. I'm not. That's just not my. That's not what I'm accustomed to. That's not our customs. That's the only reason why I say that. The thing about it too is that it's very interesting because, you know, there's a lot of times a lot of kids go in, and by the time they come out, they are productive. You know what I'm saying? They become productive. So it's like, instead of, and also that's the thing too. I got to point out this statistics. When it comes down to it, the crime factor there, when it comes down to kids, is less. I would say it's a significant amount of difference in the crime there than the crime here. So it's very interesting because certain things they do not tolerate. With people, if they get caught with a certain amount of cocaine, death penalty. You know what I mean? It's no ifs, ands, or buts. You get caught with it, you get executed or you get murdered, however you want to put it. So it's very interesting because the crime there is not half, 80% less than what it is here. You know what I mean? I think it's a big difference. But it raised the point to, at this point, what is it? Is it that it's better there than it is here? You know what I'm saying? Is it that maybe we should look at what they're doing and say, hey, you know what, it's working for y'all?
I'm just not sure that our country is anywhere near the point of looking at executing children
right.
for, crimes that they commit. Children are impulsive.
Bingo.
They follow the crowd. They have a lot of peer pressure. Children are impulsive. So I'm not sure that our country is ready to look at another country's way of dealing with child mischievousness or even murder, because there's some kids out here, we've come in contact with a few that have some heavy crimes that they've committed. But again, when you talk to them, they're children.
Right.
But their circumstances have caused them to be in the situation that they're in.
And which leads me to say that these juvenile detention centers that we have nowadays, they do a wonderful job at rehabilitating these youngsters, these juveniles. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that they do for them, it kind of bring them back to being a kid. You know what I mean? So I think it's very, in this society, in America, look, we are blessed to have it the way that we have it. It's a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? Some people say the system don't work. Listen, the system is working. It's working. I'm not saying that it's 100%. Nothing is 100%. Oh, that's kind of cool. But, from what, you're talking high percentage of rehabilitation. Kids make mistakes. Adults make mistakes. I don't think that they should be murdered for it. That's my opinion. Y'all let me know if y'all feel different. Y'all let me know. That's real facts, y'all. That is actually facts. You guys could Google it. It's facts, 100% facts. Anybody who knows about that, holla at me. Let me know. Let me, give me some insights. Let me know what y'all think.
Jimmy has a question for you. He said, if that kid was your little brother or nephew that died, King, how would you feel about them 5 kids?
Well, listen, it's hard for me to say one thing because I'm not in the situation. I'm just saying what I think is right. This is our society. This is the community. This is, I'm just saying what's right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm always right. I'm not saying that what I say is the right way to think. But the only thing that I'm saying is this is what we as a community, this is what we are accustomed to. We're accustomed to rehabilitation. We're accustomed to public safety. We want the public to be safe, and we want to we want these kids to get rehabilitated. If we could help as a community, that's what we should do. That's what we normally do. Well, that's what we're doing. You know what I mean? We're doing actions to help these kids to actually rehabilitate them. You know what I mean? What we're doing, we believe, is going to rehabilitate them. Even this right here, this is entertainment. This is why we do it. We do it because we want to rehabilitate these kids. 100%. You understand? Sandra, you got anything on that?
I mean, I think anything that any of us can do, in our communities to help any young person, preferably before they get to the juvenile system. Because a lot of times the child doesn't have an outlet. They feel like they come from a certain place and they have to interact in certain ways. So,
all right, so I got something real interesting. Very, very interesting is this.
Okay.
Would you... Now, we got to play devil's advocate because what's real is real. We calling a spade a spade. Nobody's perfect over here, but at the same time, would you say that when a child, a 12-year-old child or a 10-year-old child, go out there and murder another child or an adult, would you say it's the parents' fault? Or would you say it's the community fault? Or would you say it's the society fault? Or would you say it's, well, everybody blame everything on Donald Trump. Would you say it's Donald Trump's fault? What would you say?
Well, I think that, you can't necessarily place blame anywhere. Because as a parent, I'll go down the line. As a parent, you do the best you can, at least we would like to think that most parents do, to raise a child that's healthy, their mind is strong, they make some good decisions. But unfortunately, that parent is not there at every moment of that child's life.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I hate to cut you off.
It's okay.
Yeah, but isn't the parent responsible for that child?
The parent is
until the child is 18 or 21, or I mean, some parents will,
Absolutely.
they do everything they can in order to control their children.
This is correct.
Some of the times they beat them.
Sometimes.
Some of the times they send them to Job Corps or something.
Correct.
Some of the times they turn them over to the state.
Correct.
Because they feel that it's their responsibility to handle the kids, and when they can't handle them, they find somebody else who can.
But will that child that they turned over to these different places that you named necessarily not commit that crime? You don't know. You have to do what you can as a parent.
As a parent, but someone has to take the responsibility.
I think we all take the responsibility. When
Bingo.
You're talking about a 10-year-old child,
Bingo.
We are all
Bingo.
going to be affected by that child killing another child or an adult.
So that's my point. The parents, the community, the society, and Donald Trump. We all have to take a blame. We could even blame Rob if anything. Rob's over there laughing. I mean, it's a possibility. We could blame him.
Thank you, Jimmy. Jimmy says Sandra is 100% right. And I think that King is agreeing, with most of what I said.
Oh, yeah.
we just all have to be aware of what's going on in the community, because a lot of times we're not informed. So when we hear these things happening with these children, we're appalled. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that happened.
Right, but you know, one of the big things is a lot of times we hear it, but there's no actions. Let me not say we, because we do take action. You know, we're taking action. We're doing a lot for the community. We're doing a lot for the kids, and we are doing what we can do, and we're helping to rehabilitate the kids. What I'd like to do is I'd like to get Miss Robbins on the phone, because the time is actually going. We told her that we're going to give her a call. Rob, okay. So in a few minutes, all right, so what we're going to do, could we get Pretty Black's track on? He's working on that. So we're gonna get Pretty Black's track on, right? And y'all could listen to that. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna get back on. When we come back, we're gonna come back with Miss Robbins, who is the director of the Nassau Juvenile Detention Center, and this is the lady who's actually responsible for rehabilitating these youngsters. Very important. We'll be right back. Are we ready with that? All right, we'll be right back.
If you see it, if you see it, if you see it, just believe. All you gotta do is believe in yourself, youngin'. If you see it, if you see it, if you dream it, just believe. Good thoughts, positive energy, all you really need. If you see it, if you see it, yeah, you just believe. Just believe in yourself, yeah. Come on. Yeah, this a feel-good record, check it. I remember them days when they said I was young and dumb. You play with fire, you gon' get burned. I made some bad choices, I had to learn. You gotta mind use it. Let me show you how we used to do it. If you playing games, you playing foul. Positive thoughts, the only way out. Hey now, there's no positives around. Be thankful you alive and not 6 feet underground. Devil all in your mind, but God got us. Can't stop us, won't stop us. In case I fall, I call king. That's my big bro. Positive influence all in my circle, you already know. I need that, we need that, no negative feedbacks. Positive thoughts work like magic. Think good thoughts, youngin'. Creative minds, what you attracting. Life better when you living with purpose. It's perfect in person. We not hurting no bad vibes over here. Nah, let me talk to him. We ain't faking, your life is a reflection of your state of mind. Get on positive time, stay on your grind. What's your focus? Wealth, health, all the above. To live without problems, you gotta be a problem solver. Check my logic, small frame, but I feel like I'm brolic. All I'm saying is it's all in your mind. Think about it. Gotta be careful what you think about. Sometimes you gotta think about what you're thinking about. If you see it, just believe. All you gotta do is believe in yourself, youngin'. If you see it, if you see it, if you dream it, just believe. Good thoughts, positive energy, all you really need. If you see it, if you see it, yeah. You just believe. Just believe in yourself, yeah. Come on, come on, come on.
So
Yeah. All right, so we are back. And I believe that we have the director, Miss Robbins, on our line. Miss Robbins, you are live. Hello, Miss Robbins, how you doing?
Hello and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We were actually looking forward to having you right in the studio with us. But it's totally understood. Weather is bad and everything is bad, but I definitely appreciate the fact that you're able to make this phone call and still do the interview. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, and I appreciate you guys understanding. Unfortunately, I've had a situation today with my oldest daughter, who's a college student, but I'm here, and thank you again for having me.
Not a problem. Thank you for actually calling in, accepting the call. Definitely appreciate it. All right, so I'd like to just jump in and talk to you about. We started talking about a few things about different countries on how they deal with their youths, and we were talking that here we rehabilitate them. That's what the ultimate goal is. What would you say? Because how long have you been the director for Nassau, the Nassau Juvenile Center?
Well, I've been in my position for the Nassau County Juvenile Detention Facility for 10 years. Actually, this past year, 2019, made 10 years. So in 2020, we'll be making 11 years.
Wow, salute to you. I definitely salute to you. What would you say? What would you say about your position and what you do with these kids? Do you actually see changes, or do you actually feel that the system is actually effective? And if not, you could elaborate on that.
Well, before I get into the actual system, let me just say that as a director, I try to make things right, although there have been so many wrongs in a child's life. So long before a child ends up in the juvenile justice system, there are many things that have gone wrong in that child's life that has put them in a situation where they've done something that has put them in the juvenile justice system. So therefore, I don't think any child purposefully does something wrong to end up in the system. I do believe that long before they get there are many situations that occur that will promote the existence of a child being brought into the juvenile justice system and then eventually being pushed into the adult criminal justice system. The system is set up not for our children to succeed, and we have to hold ourselves accountable for that. There's nobody else responsible for our children but us. And I think we've gotten away from that. A lot of the children that come through the juvenile justice system are Black and brown children, and they tend to not be children who are brought up in a community where we're looking out for each other. And I find that because we don't sustain our own community, we find a number of Black and brown children being overrepresented in the juvenile justice system. So that's just my thought on the whole system as a process of prosecuting our children. And when they come to our facility, I don't look to prosecute any further. I do try to instill hope. But unfortunately, when they return back to their community or they go elsewhere, that hope is not continued.
Awesome. I totally agree with you. I agree with your statement 100%. And I believe majority of our listeners are going to agree with you 100%. Now, the thing that I've noticed with you is that with the things that you do, I realize that you go above and beyond, and you also refer to them as your kids. These are your kids. And I realized when I sat with you, I was surprised that some of I'm gonna call them, these are some tough kids that they were actually drawing and drawing pictures. That's what kids do. Right. So
absolutely. But the kids that are there, they actually are my children because they come from the same community. or the same communities that we all grew up in. So I look at it from that perspective, from the perspective that we should not give up on children just because they've made a mistake or they haven't had the right influences in their life. So yes, they are my children. And as far as the perception of being tough, they will come off tough initially, but when you get to know a child and they know that you're sincere in your efforts, those barriers are broken down, and they will also look at you as somebody who is willing to help them. And I've had a number of children come through the facility who still remain in contact with me and will refer to me as their mother, although I'm not that old. Let me point that out. But I take ownership and I take pride in the fact that I am trying to change lives. But again, I find that when they return to their home communities, to no fault of their parents sometimes, they are not put in a situation where they are able to succeed. We realize that a number of communities in Nassau and Suffolk County are redlined in a way where the children that are Black and brown will not succeed. So it's not their fault, and sometimes it's not their parents' fault. But I do understand that everyone has to accept responsibility for bringing a child into the world, and we just have to look at it from a different perspective on how to raise our children.
All right, great. You brought up a good point to where you say that it's the community's responsibility. It's not just the parents. It's all of us. It's all the community. It's our responsibility.
Correct.
What do you think will help? Because obviously, a lot of times you have some people are not able to donate money or to take kids in or to. What do you think that us as members of the community should be doing to help the kids, to kind of bring it down to, what do you think are some things that would help, as as far as when the kids leave? What are some of the things that you think that even some of my listeners, they are able to do?
It's very simple. Time and a genuine interest in a child. That's all it takes. And showing care and concern. A lot of times as adults, we get caught up in our own lives, and then we find that, I don't have time to do that. But when you see a child struggling and they may not have the right adult representatives in their life to help them navigate through life, sometimes as the next door neighbor, you have to step in.
Bingo. And
you have to show a child a different way of doing things. I didn't live a perfect life growing up, but I had adult influences who helped me see a different way. I didn't come from a household where my parents were rich or my neighbors were rich. I grew up in a socially and economically disadvantaged neighborhood, but there were some adults in that neighborhood who looked at me and saw that this kid had potential and that eventually one day she would make something of herself if we show a genuine interest in her. And nowadays, the adults I see are trying to be like the kids. Unfortunate.
Unbelievable. You know what? The thing about it is, a lot of people, I'm going to say a lot of people, even the fact that you're in your position, they automatically assume that you actually were born with that gold spoon in your mouth.
Absolutely.
And so you want to, like, let's say even, let's say high school. Where did you attend high school? Did you attend, what's the one in Westbury? Westbury?
I actually grew up in Brooklyn, in one of probably the most socioeconomically disadvantaged neighborhoods in Brooklyn. And I went to school in Queens, the borderline of Brooklyn and Queens. I went to Franklin K. Lane, which was probably one of the worst high schools in New York City.
Yeah.
But
yeah. That's actually, I went to that high school myself, so I definitely know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
But obviously brought up around some people who took an interest in helping me navigate through life, and like I said before, showing a genuine interest. So I don't, where I'm coming from, and what I say to people is not because I haven't been through certain things. I've been through the same struggles that a lot of the children have been through, and that are currently incarcerated in juvenile detention facilities across the country. So I'm not speaking from the standpoint of somebody who doesn't understand the system. I completely understand the system and have been around a number of individuals who graduated from the juvenile justice system onto the adult criminal justice system. So I think that I'm a pretty good spokesperson on the topic.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think so.
I agree with that. And actually, you know what I'm thinking about? You know, there's no you know, we need somebody to be running for president of that represent us.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think he's pointing to you, Miss Robbins.
That's exactly my point. I don't think she picked it up, but you know, that's something for you to consider, because I think your heart is there, and I think your heart is huge. You have a huge heart, and I think that that's something that you definitely should consider. We the people will support you. We're here for
Understood.
you. All right.
I totally understand that, but the way the system is set up, a person like me would never be in a position where we could really help our children. You know what I mean? I try to be optimistic in certain situations by staying on the low level, because I think at my level right now I can really make a difference. But sometimes when we become politicized,
Okay.
there are other interests that get involved in that. Well, not other interests, just other perspectives that get in the way of you accomplishing your real goals.
Gotcha.
And then sometimes we lose perspective of what we are really trying to do. So not to speak down on any of our elected officials, but I do realize that people who are elected officials, they have to satisfy a lot of different constituents.
Gotcha.
And sometimes my agenda is my people.
I agree, and I love that about you. And we don't want you to change, no way, no how, no shape, no form. I appreciate you, and also one thing I want to say is that you are making a difference. You have made a difference.
Absolutely.
And you know, I just want to say, please continue to make a difference. I would actually like to. There's we getting a lot of comments and a lot of questions that I
hope they're not tearing me up online right now.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, they are loving you. They are feeling you. Well, actually, that's what I'm thinking, because I'm not looking at the screen. But Sandra is actually gonna, you know, say, you know, mention a few questions. We're not gonna bombard you with it.
No.
No problem.
There's a lot of comments, you know, agreeing with some of the things that you were saying. Philip was saying that many of the children are coming from broken homes, which is a major impact on their lives in a negative way, causing them to be the way they are. And I think you kind of answered him on that, you know, as far as we are all responsible for these children if you're a neighbor and you see something happening. So I think you kind of spoke to that particular comment a little bit.
Yeah, she did.
And then Jimmy was saying that as a society, we make too much excuses for the kids. It's always easy to blame parents for it.
Oh, absolutely. I think that we want to put all the blame on a parent all the time, but not everybody was raised in a perfect household. So parents make mistakes too. But I do realize that the kids today are much wiser than we were when we were younger, right?
I agree.
So from the time they enter, let's say pre-K or kindergarten, they're being told by a system that if your parent puts their hands on you, you are to call what? The authorities, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
That's what they're saying.
To your household and tells you that you're not doing right by your child, and you aren't disciplining your child in the right way, right?
That's true.
That's what happens nowadays. We see it all the time with parents who actually will call my facility or come to my facility with their child and tell me, please take my child. I have no more control. That's because the system has taken control away from the parent, and now we expect the parent to come back and fix the child all of a sudden.
Exactly.
But the parent has now lost all control because the system has told this child that if your parent tries to discipline you, you must call us and tell us what your parent is doing wrong.
Right.
So that's a problem.
A big problem.
And the other problem is that the community doesn't have the resources anymore to actually be a real community with the children growing up in our neighborhoods. When we were growing up, we had PAL, we had all these different community centers where we could go to programs for free. Everything costs $1 now.
That's true. That is
right?
true.
A few dollars.
Now, you want to put your child in a dance program or a basketball program, they're asking you for money. But if you're a parent working 2 jobs just trying to put food on the table, how are you successfully going to raise that child in any type of social program when you can't afford it? But nobody talks about that.
Right. That's true.
Just simply taking your child to the movies nowadays. I got 3 kids, right? If I take them to the movies and we get snacks and everything else, that's $150 out of my pocket.
Yeah, that's true.
Talk about a person coming from a low income, right? And they living in some sort of subsidized housing. How are they going to afford to take their kids to any type of movies or put them in a ballet program or put them in a music program when they can't afford it? So it's not just the parents' fault, it's society's fault as a whole. And nobody wants to really look at that. And if you really think about it, there's 2 different classes now. There's the working class and there's the rich. There's no more middle class.
Correct.
Right? So middle class parents now are also struggling to find ways to keep their kids occupied so that they don't get in trouble. And that's how we end up with kids in the child welfare system and then eventually in the juvenile justice system. And then as an adult, they end up in the criminal justice system. So we have to all accept responsibility for what's going on right now.
Right. And I was actually making that point earlier because, you know, as adults, we don't like to take blame, but it's easier to give blame. We all have to take responsibility, from
Correct.
Parents to community to society to Donald Trump. Everybody got to take responsibility. You know,
the commander-in-chief. I don't even say the name. I just say the commander-in-chief. That's
right.
it.
Okay.
And they're loving that reference to him too, King. But you know something, Director Robbins, we really, just to piggyback off of what King was saying, I commend you for staying in the role that you're in. Because even though we would love to see you somewhere politically because we think that you could help, but I think that the impact that you have in the community is a greater help at this point. Because even Dorothy was saying the sole responsibility and obligation of our politicians is to satisfy the voters who put them in office. So I think that the responsibility kind of shifts from what you're trying to do now to the people that supposedly put you in office if you run for an office. So I think that you're best where you're at. So we're kind of glad about that. And thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.
Well, I appreciate you guys for, really coming to the facility and spending time with the children and really inspiring some hope in them. We still have some children that are there that were incarcerated when you guys came over, and they're still talking about you guys and wanting to know when you guys are coming back. So I appreciate you guys as well, because it's individuals like yourselves who come back and show the kids, listen, there is somebody in the community that's really thinking about you, and that gives them hope on some level.
Awesome. We definitely appreciate that. We appreciate that. As far as anything, our time is actually running. Our time is limited. I'd like if you could maybe sum up, if there anything that you want to say to kind of sum it up, to say to the community on, on a whole, or anything you want to close out with.
Yes, there are probably a couple of things I want to say. One is spend time with your kids. Put your phones down because kids mimic everything that we do. So you can't tell a child to put their iPhone or their iPad down if you're constantly on your iPhone or iPad, right? Social media isn't everything. Social media is just an image, and kids need to understand that, right? The
Absolutely.
second thing is read with your children. That is a very important aspect of raising your children because if you instill reading, guess what? We're not going to repeat things from the past. And so many things right now are being repeated from the past because we are not reading. There's so many Black and brown children who don't know their history because they're not reading. And we need to make sure that our children know their history and they understand that we are not ancestors of just slaves. We are ancestors of kings and queens who were brought here unjustly and put into a system where we were taught to believe that we were slaves. So those are the two things that I want to end with.
Wow. Very
Wow.
powerful
Very.
statement. Definitely appreciate that. Mrs. Robbins, thank you very much for your time. And, I would appreciate it if in the near future you definitely come back and visit again.
Okay, not a
Yeah,
problem.
definitely appreciate that. Please drive safe, get home safe, and tell your daughters that everyone from here said to say hello.
That's
I will.
correct.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good night, okay?
You as
Same
well.
to you. Same to you. Thank you.
Well, Jimmy is on you about Trump.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
stop that, Trump King. He's saying, stop hating people, step in the light. He
uh,
is a Trump supporter. He was also saying, though, that he was in the court system almost for a year for disciplining his child. And I think that that's
oh,
important
wow.
to point out that just like Director Robbins was saying, they're telling our children, call us. If basically, if you don't like something mommy or daddy are doing, now we're not talking about abuse. We're talking about discipline.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's important that, we understand that this really is happening. And until steps are taken to correct that,
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a harder time trying to help these children.
Right. Well, the thing about it too is that we as a community, we have to get alternative measures. You know what I mean? Because they make it that way. It's very hard for us to discipline and to raise our kids the way we know how to raise our kids. And if we're not able to do that, we have to just evolve. You know what I mean? We have to find new ways.
Yeah, we do because,
Yeah.
I have a friend, and just to what Miss Robbins was saying, he always tells the story of how, the teachers at the school, the neighbors next door, they were allowed to say, hey, listen, get yourself together, even grabbing them, taking them home. We don't allow that to happen these days. We get upset. Don't say nothing to my child. I'll tell any adult that I know in my world, and they understand what that means when I say, if you see Brandon doing something he's not supposed to do, yes, call me, bring him to me, whatever you have to do to help him escape a bad situation, I want you to try to do that.
Right.
Because I think it's our responsibility to do that for our children.
Bingo. I agree 100%. I agree with that. And that's a beautiful thing. I love that. So Brandon, I know you're listening, so everybody knows they're gonna be checking up on you. So there you have it. I think she really spells it out that it's everyone's responsibility. Back in the days, they used to say it takes a village to raise a child. Now the new saying is it takes everyone to raise a child.
It's everyone, yeah.
You know what I mean? Not just the village. And everyone got to take that responsibility. It's just facts.
Absolutely.
You know, if we all put in a helping hand, we'll make a difference.
And even though Brandon is not watching, he does know because I let him know. I let everybody know.
Yeah.
And him as well. If they see you doing something,
Yeah.
they're going to check you.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Gotta love that. That's a beautiful thing. One of these things, another thing is, was there any other comments from the listeners?
Well, all the listeners were really, just kind of into the whole conversation, agreeing. I think I read most of them. Heather came in. She agrees that we're responsible to help the kids. A very interesting fact, she was saying how Singapore is very strict, and you cannot even chew gum there. So she was saying that, it's definitely less crime, especially on the juvenile side.
Right.
Because they are held to a different standard is what I'm hearing. They're held to a different standard. We may be a little bit more lenient. Chewing gum, we probably shouldn't because, the teeth. But at the same time, that's not something that we look at.
Right.
Those types of restrictions. So that's a little fact for us that we might not have known. And just everything that Miss Robbins was saying, everybody's kind of feeling it.
Right. And, I think a lot of people look at it and they might say, I'm not able to do certain things because I cannot afford it.
Correct.
That's what a lot of people say. Well, and what they do actually, they point to, Jay-Z should be doing more. He could afford it. They point their finger.
You hear that a lot.
They got this, they should do it. They got that, they should do it. When a lot of times all it takes is like what she say, talk to them, genuinely care for them. And that's going to make a big difference. You know what I mean? It's just amazing. It's just amazing the small things that people from the community can do to change the community. You know what I mean? Back in Jamaica, anybody see you and you're not doing the right thing, they check you. They take their belt off and they'll whip you. 1, 2, 3. Ain't no cops gonna say anything. Well, the cops is gonna take his belt off and whip you too, with the other person whipping you if you even were trying to call the cops. You know what I'm saying?
This is true.
So it's different community, different lifestyle, different everything. But what works is the whole point. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that I feel that what they do is the right thing because it's not about right and wrong. It's about what works. What actually works. Our rehabilitation system, I think it works to an extent. If the community helps and do the smallest of things, it makes a hell of a difference. You know what I mean? What's your thoughts? You say no?
Oh no, I say yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. I just think it makes a difference, and I think with the difference in our kids and our environment, once we go out there and we talk to them, and some of the times, like she said, the adults are trying to be cool with the kids, so the adults are not trying to teach the kids nothing or trying to motivate the kids or trying to do anything with the kids. All they doing is trying to be kids themselves.
This is true.
Right?
A lot of parents partying with the kid. A lot of parents doing the things that the kid is doing. There's no difference. So
Right.
Sometimes I think that's a problem.
Right.
And Director Robbins, she spoke to that. She said there has to be some type of separation. And I don't know what the reason is for that, but I think it is an issue, part of it.
Yeah, that's a totally other topic, though. I think that.
But I think it's
yeah.
part of it.
Yeah, Yeah, that's a big topic. In other words, because there's a lot of times with parents, um, if they feel that they haven't done what they're supposed to do, then yeah, they want to be their friends because they want to, keep close to them. They don't want the kids to feel as if they're not doing what they are supposed to do. So a lot of times that is the reason why they say they're gonna be their kid's friend, and they smoke weed with their kids, they take pills with their kids, they do a lot of things with their kids because that's just what they feel.
They feel.
They feel as if they want to keep them close, and they want to say, "Yo, I'm gonna teach you. This is how you smoke a blunt." Versus, this is how you read a book. Or versus, this is how you drive a car. Or this is how you fly a plane.
And listen, people, when people know better, they might do better.
Okay.
Because we don't know where they came from either. And that's another point Miss Robbins was making.
Well, that's true.
Again, it's everybody.
Everybody, right, right. So my thing is, we taking responsibility, and we're gonna do what we have to do to make a difference. There's a lot of people that's doing what they have to do to make a difference. I know I said it last week, and that was a big thing that I was mentioning last week, was that, well, not even last week, but last show, was it's all about action, and once your mental is right, it has to follow with action. And I know that I talk about mental a lot, and what I want to say is, there's going to be a topic on that, your mental, because I know I talk about, you got to get your mental right. You got to get your mental right. But I'm going to talk about how you get your mental right. My thing is, what I do to get my mental right is meditate. I meditate on a regular basis. I've been doing that for about 9 years, and I see a big difference in me. I see a big difference in my state of mind. I could see a lot more, and I could concentrate a lot more. I could focus a lot better. It just makes a hell of a difference. So meditation is one of the things that I do to get my mental right. I know I've been saying a lot, get your mental right, get your mental right. And the thing about that is, it is so important for the mind to be right, because once your mind is right, everything eventually becomes right. It starts with your mind. It starts with your mental. You can't move to a certain level if your mental is not right. So I definitely want to leave y'all on that note once again. The mental got to be right. And if your mental is right, everything is right. Now, there's going to be a session, there's going to be sometime next month, we're going to bring in a place that I meditate, talk to them, and even talk to some kids, or a kid that actually meditate. So I want you guys to kind of feel me on that and really take note to that. I'm going to close it out on that. Once your mind is right, everything falls into place, because it starts with your mental. Once your mental is there, you could leap from here to all the way to the finish line. And there's never a finish line. It keeps on improving and improving and improving. That's it for me. Sandra.
Good night.
Big Rob. Everybody, have a great night. Thank you for joining us. And until next time.